When it comes to choosing a place to start a homestead on, we've got a lot of options, and I'm here to tell you today why I think Florida is actually a great place. How's it going, guys, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk. My name is Chad, and this is the Hopeful Homestead. You're out here right now at my little campsite that I built next to my tiny cabin on wheels over there, parked out on my family's property that we're calling the Hopeful Homestead. This is a 21-acre piece of land that we bought here in South Florida that we're going to be starting our farm on, starting a ranch, doing the whole homesteader thing. We're building our forever home up on the front of the property here over the next 12 months, and I'm going to be documenting that whole process here on this channel, and it's going to be quite the adventure. But here in this series of videos, I like to sit out here with a cup of coffee, and as I've mentioned many times before, I personally feel that there's not much more you can do for your family as a dad than to buy some land and move your family out to the country and become a little more self-sufficient and just live off your own land as a family. I realize that's not for everyone, but for me and my family, that's what we're doing. And I like sharing my thoughts about that for anyone who cares to listen here on this channel. And in the comments, a lot of those videos I've made talking about homesteading and what we're planning on doing and why we want to do this, a lot of people are saying that they think Florida is not a good place to start a homestead. And I'm here in this video breaking down a couple of reasons as to why I think they're wrong, and I think that this is actually a great place to start a homestead. First thing being the fact that you got year-round grass growing here. This is South Florida, Florida in general, but especially South Florida. You got grass growing year-round. You don't have to worry about winter months where your land basically dries up and has no use for you. You know, you can continue to grow and produce fruit and vegetables and raise farm animals, have them grazing openly on land that is year-round productive. You can't say that about many places in the United States and about many places in the world. And being that Florida is relatively flat, you know, our 21 acres here is pretty much solidly flat. It makes it very easy to farm it. As far as having a tractor and being able to traverse around your property, to be able to put fencing in, to be able to put some crops in the ground, start some gardens, it's very easy to do when everything's flat. And Florida delivers on that. So you've got flat, easy to traverse, productive land year-round here. And weather that is conducive to you being outside and working on your land and raising farm animals. You can be outside doing that year round. Yes, in the summertime, it gets a little bit taxing. You know, it's hot and it's sweaty, but it's hot and sweaty in the summer up north and in other places too. So unless you're really far up north, you know, most other places are still dealing with pretty miserable weather in the summer as well. But for us, I know we're going to have a pool. We're planning on putting in a nice pool here as well. So, you know, that takes the edge off in the summer where we can enjoy being able to, you know, farm our land and raise farm animals and hop in the pool when we need to cool off. From a cultural standpoint, Florida is very conducive for homesteading. You know, it's very family friendly, farmer friendly. There's not a lot of measures in place from a legal standpoint that, you know, tie your hands behind your back at all. You are pretty, you know, we don't have to get any licensing to be able to be farmers, to be able to have farm animals or grow crops here. You're able to just do it without any government regulation getting in your way. And coming up here in the fall, next fall of 2026, we're going to be voting on a constitutional amendment here in Florida that's actually going to potentially abolish property taxes. And that's going to really change the game here in Florida for homesteading, because it's only going to be applicable to homesteaded properties, meaning if it's your place of residence. If it's an investment property you don't live on, or a retail property or a commercial property, that doesn't apply. You still have to pay property tax. But being that this 21 acres is going to be where we live after we finish building our forever home on it, our farmhouse, we're going to be able to have no property tax on this and be able to live off of it and produce a lot of the fruit and vegetables that we consume, and, you know, have farm animals and chickens and goats and milk and, you know, all kinds of stuff that we're going to be able to truly live off our land that is going to cost us nothing from a tax standpoint. So I have a hard time believing that that's not going to pass. We need 60% of the voter turnout to be able to actually have that be passed as a constitutional amendment in Florida. But I don't know who's going to be against that. You know, being able to actually own your place, own where you live, regardless of if you owe any money on it. You know, for us, you know, I'm in my late 30s. We could live here for 40 or 50 years and, you know, have long paid off our property by that point, and we won't be renting it from the government anymore, because we'll be able to actually truly own this place instead of feeling like we got to constantly pay up to the government every year just for the fact that we are here. So fingers crossed, hopefully that actually passes, because that's going to be pretty incredible. And just another reason why starting a homestead in Florida will be way advantageous compared to anywhere else in the country. Another reason is water. The fact that you've got ample rainfall here, you don't have to deal with droughts ever. You can grow a lot of different types of food out here, especially if you start utilizing things like greenhouses and you know, in climate controlled environments. You can grow other things that don't naturally grow in this hot, you know, humid climate, but you could really produce almost anything you need here on your land in Florida. So Florida's looking like a pretty sweet place to be able to start a homestead on here in 2026. But that's going to do it for today's video. Thanks for being here. Again, my name is Chad. This is the Hopeful Homestead. And if you feel like sticking around, I got a video right here that's all about everything we plan to build here on our homestead. So go check that out, and I'll see you over in that video. Thanks for being here, guys. This is the Hopeful Homestead. I'll see you in the next one.